Professor Auguste Piccard, the gatekeeper, a physicist, engineer, and scientist at Bruxelles University. Also an inventor and an explorer, and the first man to ever reach low Earth orbit. A highly intelligent man who was a graduate and a companion of the great Albert Einstein. So join me now as we take a look into the journey of one of mankind's greatest accomplishments and why it's been hidden.
This is a story about legacy. People who know they were put here to do something different, something that would change the world.
And action!
You have Auguste Piccard, and he goes into space and do something that's never been done. My wild rabbit is to inspire everybody. I can see that in Auguste Piccard and Jacques Piccard, because they represent never stop, never settle more than anything I've seen.
Professor Piccard, the Belgian scientist, started the serious game of searching for the world's roof, searching for the world's roof, searching for the world's roof.
Professor Piccard, the Belgian scientist, has ascended to heights never before reached by man to study the stratosphere, that unknown region which surrounds the Earth at a distance of more than 7 miles. Last year in May he reached over 9 miles in height, but this time he was out to beat his own record.
600,000 feet of hydrogen is forced from these cylinders into the balloon.
I mean, we're talking about a man who is mathematically and scientifically genius enough to figure out that is aluminum on one side, and on the other side it's still aluminum, but it's coated with black paint. That way the guy knew once he got up, he had these little levers inside this aluminum ball that he could pull, that it would turn this thing. And when he got too hot, he would turn the black side of this aluminum ball to the sun so he would cool down. And when he got too cold, he would turn it back around to the shiny aluminum side to warm back up.
This is a down metal gondola which will bring us into the stratosphere. We are going to be lifted up there by Linde hydrogen. That hydrogen will lift us in a place where nobody can breathe and live. But inside we'll have Linde oxygen, which makes good what the hydrogen makes bad, and makes a very comfortable living place for us. Here, I would like to show you inside, but we are too many people. I couldn't all bring you this gondola. Very little space. That's enough space for the pilot and me, who was going to do the work on cosmic rays. But I can show a little bit about it. Here is the ring on which the gondola hangs. Here is the rope to which is connected with upper ring. This here is a roof garden. We want to some fresh air, we can go on this here, as long as we are still in the lower air. And then when we go in the stratosphere, we close here. You hand me the cover, please. Thank you. This here is the down metal. Oh, I'm sorry for the noise. This here is the down metal cover, you see, very light. That will come inside, and another one similar will come outside. You take it again, please.
We're not talking about a little helium balloon that we see in modern days where everybody's in a little basket floating up into the air. We're talking about an aluminum ball that had pressurized doors on it, kind of like a submarine does, that pressurizes because they knew once they got up so high that there would be no oxygen and they wouldn't be able to breathe. But as long as that aluminum ball was pressurized by those lock-sealed doors, just like a submarine, and they had oxygen in tanks, that's how they did it.
Accompanied by his assistant, Monsieur Max Cousins, the start was made at dawn from Dubendorf Aerodrome near Zurich. The preparations for the flight began at midnight, but thousands of people had made the journey from Zurich in special trains, whilst a battalion of Swiss troops held down the guy ropes. Professor Piccard himself superintended the arrangement, and then, when all was ready, he clambered inside the gondola which contained a mass of scientific instruments and gave the signal to let go. The balloon rose quickly and eventually climbed to over 10.5 miles above the earth. Just imagine, whilst we were sweltering in the heat wave, he was nearly frozen to death in 15 degrees centigrade below zero. After being aloft for over 12 hours, he eventually landed near Lake Garda in Italy.
We were on the scene as soon as the Austrian Alpine troops you now see on their way to the glacier to recover the envelope and gondola in which the intrepid professors had made a perfect landing. After their amazing air voyage, just imagine, twice as high as Mount Everest, the biggest mountain in the world. The gondola, only 6'7" in diameter, you'll notice is half black one side and half silver the other. When too warm, the bright side was turned to the sun. When too cold, the black. Dr. Kippler was overjoyed as he handed out each of the many instruments, all in perfect order, and recording highly scientific discoveries of the utmost importance.
So in 1931, the Belgian physicist, who was also a friend of Albert Einstein and worked with Albert Einstein from time to time. I mean, this is a very intelligent man, PhD in physics, an engineer. This man created, he built this craft, he put it in, he went up, he was the first man, so he's world record setter. Dr. Auguste Piccard, Star Trek, Jean-Luc Picard, named after him. Okay? First man to reach the stratosphere, the first man who went that high. So just a few months after his ascent to a world record height, there was an article in there, 10 miles high in an airtight balloon. Now, just so people could say that I didn't get this off the internet, I did a little research. So I went on eBay and searched for Popular Science Magazine, 1931, August edition. I found one. I paid $15 for this. It was 25 cents in 1931. Just to verify this fact, and I'm going to read this article to you. This is the testimony of a physicist, scientist, engineer, the first man to reach the stratosphere that height. His testimony of the shape of the earth. Can I read this to you? It's on page 23. This blew my mind, getting this. It says, a huge yellow balloon soared skyward a few weeks ago from Augsburg, Germany. Instead of a basket, it trailed an airtight black and silver aluminum ball. Within, Professor Auguste Piccard, physicist, and Charles Kepler aimed to explore the air 50,000 feet up. 17 hours later, after being given up for dead, they returned safely from an estimated height of more than 52,000 feet, almost 10 miles, shattering every aircraft altitude record through copper-colored, then bluish haze. Here's what he said. It seemed a flat disk with upturned edge. Now this is 1931, before NASA. Before they decided they were going to lie to us, before they conspired worldwide to lie. Some people say that there are no scientists that are flat earthers. Well, guess what? He told you what he saw. What is this magazine? Why did we never hear that in our schools? I never heard of this man.
Nearly 80 years ago, on May the 27th, 1931, the Swiss physicist Auguste Piccard took off from Augsburg, Germany in a pressurized aluminum capsule attached to a large hydrogen balloon. He was a gentleman scientist, a polymath, But he was also prepared to get into this tiny thing and shoot up into the stratosphere. Scientists don't do those sort of things these days. They don't theorize, design, build, and then execute the whole operation themselves. It's a bit like Einstein getting into Apollo 13 or something. Quite unheard of, and I suspect those days are over with. But he was an honest man, and he was the first man into low Earth orbit, and he told what he saw. A flat disk with an upturned edge. The Earth is flat. Thanks for watching, and God bless.
This was no small feat. Before the advent of modern-day NASA, before the internet, before the moon landings, a man took the true giant step, a serious leap for mankind.
And yet there is no mention of him in our history books.
I wonder why.
Some of them are our true unsung heroes indeed.